He was a pathetic virgin loser who confessed to 100 girls hoping to finally get laid, but they all rejected him. One day, after watching some sus videos, God accidentally gave him the ability to get 100 girlfriends, and now every girl he makes eye contact with gets rizzed. So he doesn't even have time to sleep because they all want his joystick. This all begins as Rentarō starts off brave and tells the girl he likes that he wants to date her. She admits she likes him as a person, but the idea of going out with him literally makes her feel sick, so she turns him down. He's crushed. His buddy walks him home and jokes about it, pointing out this was rejection number 100. They just finished middle school, so his friend can't believe he's already asked out 100 girls and got rejected. Rentarō remembers his first confession was when he was only 8 months old. He's desperate to know what having a girlfriend feels like. He's good-looking, smart, and still gets dumped every time, which just makes him more annoyed. His friend waves goodbye and wishes him a good start in high school. Rentarō heads to a local shrine and asks the love deity for help so he can finally get a girlfriend in high school. A voice answers, and a face appears out of the offering box. A winged man climbs out, says he's the shrine's god, and tells Rentarō his fate. He'll meet his destined match and get laid in high school, actually not just one, but 100 destined matches. Rentarō lights up at the news, and also warns that if this is a lie, he'll come back and smash the shrine to pieces. 1 month later, high school begins. On his way to class, Rentarō collides with 2 girls, Inda and Hakari. When their eyes meet, it's like a jolt of static runs through them, and Rentarō wonders if these two are part of the soulmates the god mentioned. He tries to help them up. Hakari suddenly claims she twisted her ankle and asks him to escort her to the nurse. Rentarō tears up, thinking he hurt his destined person, and Hakari starts liking him even more because he's so gentle about it. Inda gets jealous, so she pretends she twisted her ankle too. Rentarō freaks out and starts smacking himself for hurting them. The girls hurriedly stand up, worried he'll bruise himself, and he's shocked they can walk. Then they go right back to acting helpless. He brings both of them toward the nurse's office, but it feels like they're the ones carrying him with their plots. They wobble on purpose, argue over who gets to lean on him, and end up clinging to him the whole way. On the walk, he introduces himself, learns their names, and finds out all 3 of them are in the same class. 2 other students stroll by chatting about a patch of pink 4-leaf clovers in the courtyard. According to the rumor, if you ask someone out while holding one of those pink clovers, they'll definitely say yes. Inda and Hakari sprint away immediately, legs suddenly totally fine. After classes, 3 hours past the final bell, Rentarō stays behind to help a teacher search for a lost contact lens. When he finally heads out, he wonders if he'll bump into those girls again. He steps into the courtyard and spots Inda hunting for a special clover. He checks on her, and she jumps, then tries to act like she wasn't searching for anything. He notices Hakari isn't around and offers Inda a drink. She's too shy to accept at first, so Rentarō assumes she must think he's weird since they barely met. Then she snatches it from his hand and says she'll finish it, so it won't go to waste. He tells her it's late and she should head home. She snaps that he shouldn't boss her around, then quietly thanks him anyway. And Rentarō realizes she's being classic tsundere. Inda takes off, and Hakari shows up. Rentarō offers Hakari a drink too. Hakari wants to share the same bottle for an indirect kiss, so she says she can't finish a whole one and asks to split it. Rentarō expected this and brought a smaller bottle just for her, but she still claims she can't drink it all. He takes a sip and hands it to her. She panics, fumbles, and the entire thing spills onto the ground. Rentarō assumes she's upset because she must have really loved that flavor. He offers his handkerchief so she can clean up. Instead, she grabs his hand, looks him in the eyes, and blurts out that she loves him. She has to say it fast, because someone else likes him too. Rentarō is thrilled. This is the first time in his life anyone has confessed to him. Before he can answer, Inda rushes back with an armful of drinks to repay his kindness. She spots Hakari confessing, gets angry, and tells Hakari to wait her turn. Rentarō is stunned to realize Inda also has feelings for him. Inda tries to deny it, but ends up admitting she likes him as well. They demand to know which girl he chooses. He asks them to give him until the next day. That night, he tries to decide, but he just can't pick. He returns to the shrine. The god explains both girls are indeed his destined people, so choosing only one isn't possible. Rentarō asks what people do when they have 2 destined partners. The god says that almost nobody ever has more than one. Then he confesses he messed up when Rentarō was born. He got distracted watching plot video and assigned Rentarō 100 destined partners instead of a single one. Rentarō feels doomed. The god adds something worse: if a person never ends up with their destined partner, that person's life will end early because they can't be with the one they're meant for. Thinking about either girl dying makes Rentarō feel sick, and deciding gets even harder. He briefly considers rejecting both and secretly dating them one at a time without the other knowing. Morning comes. The girls meet him. He looks gloomy, then tells them straight he wants to go out with both of them. Inda is shocked. He admits he couldn't lie and says he genuinely loves them both and will work as hard as possible to make them the happiest girls ever. They're about to shut him down when he pulls out 2 pink 4-leaf clovers, the kind from the rumor, and hands one to each of them. He spent the whole night looking for those. Inda calls the rumor silly, but Hikari reminds her that both of them believed it earlier. Inda says she won't accept being part of a 2-timer. Rentarō explains he picked the clovers because he saw how much effort they put into finding them and wanted to make them smile. The gesture overwhelms them. Hikari decides that sharing him would still make her happier than being turned down. Inda refuses to let Hikari take him alone, so she agrees too. Hikari teases Inda for switching sides. Rentarō promises to treasure them both, then quietly worries about the other 98 destined girls he hasn't met yet. The next day, Rentarō is so excited to finally have a girlfriend that he talks out loud to a utility pole. The girls walk up, and Inda gets creeped out that he's chatting with a street fixture. He says he was just too happy and couldn't hold it in. Inda tells him to talk to her instead, then immediately gets embarrassed. Hikari uses the moment to grab Rentarō's hand. The feeling rushes through him, and he freezes from the shock. Inda gets jealous, so Rentarō reaches out and holds her hand too. She pretends it's no big deal, but she doesn't let go. The 3 of them stroll off together, fingers linked, grinning. As soon as they reach campus, a student sprints past with the deputy principal tearing after him. Hikari explains that this administrator is a total discipline hawk, spot anyone running, and she'll bolt after them, and if she catches you, she plants a kiss as punishment. Rentarō winces and says that would absolutely mess someone up inside. Hikari adds that the deputy used to be a track star, so escaping her is basically impossible. Hikari then asks if Rentarō has ever kissed anyone. He says no, Inda and Hikari are his first girlfriends ever. That flips a switch for both girls. Whoever moves first gets his first kiss. So the race quietly begins. They share lunch together. While Inda gets distracted petting a cat, Hikari slides an egg roll to Rentarō. It's so good he tears up on the spot. Inda sees that and gets jealous. She says she baked cookies for him and tries to feed him too, but her hand slips and she bonks him in the eye. He still eats it and says it tastes amazing. Hikari pulls out a bakey stick snack. When she opens it, both ends are snapped. She doesn't want sticky fingers, so she goes for a mouth-to-mouth feed instead. She leans in, super close, and Rentarō can't handle how cute she looks at that distance. Hikari nibbles the stick bit by bit so she can inch nearer. Inda jumps in to join, but accidentally pokes Rentarō's other eye. Her hair swings forward, tickles his nose, and he sneezes, snapping the bakey between him and Hikari. Inda notices his eyes are red and worries he's coming down with something. She suddenly grabs him and says the fastest cure is to pass it on, then leans in to kiss him. Hikari smashes her with her plot and says they don't even know he's sick. She should check his temperature with a lip test first, totally a family tradition, according to her. Inda shuts that down and tries to make Rentarō faint so she can do mouth-to-mouth. Hikari shoves her back again with her giant plot. Both of them get heated. Rentarō finally understands they're angling for a kiss. Inda denies it with words, but her face gives it away. He's stunned they want it as much as he does, so he says he's ready to kiss them too. Hikari points out he must choose who goes first, which instantly restarts the argument. Rentarō raises his hands and says he has a plan he cooked up last night because he was way too excited to sleep. He wants them happy, and he wants the first kiss moment to be fair. His idea? They'll keep the identity of kiss number 1 a total mystery. That way, each girl is equally his first. He'll treat both kisses as first kisses in his heart. They ask how that could stay secret. He explains the setup. He'll put on a mask and cover his ears so he can't recognize voices. They'll roll a die to randomize where they stand. He'll step forward and kiss the person directly in front of him without knowing who it is, then go back to his starting spot. They'll roll again and shuffle positions, and he'll kiss the next person. When it's over, he won't know who went first. Hikari loves it. Inda says he could still cheat somehow. Rentarō offers a fix. They pinky swear not to cheat. Inda says that's childish. He raises the stakes if he breaks the promise. He'll jab a needle in his own eye. That convinces them. They agree. They're about to run the plan when a sudden gust flips Inda's skirt, and the cat claws at the fabric. Inda thinks Rentarō grabbed her and boots him across the space. She pounds on him for a second, then her headphones pop loose, and she sees the cat is the culprit. They reset and try again. Every attempt collapses for some new dumb reason, and not a single kiss lands. Everyone ends up upset. Inda says the plan is flawed. Hikari gets mad. They start blaming each other and tug-of-warring over who owns Rentarō. He breaks it up and takes full responsibility, saying he's inexperienced and handled it badly. He dashes off and yells for the deputy principal. She appears instantly to punish him for running, climbs on top of him to enforce her bizarre rule, and he looks terrified. Inda throws herself between them. Hikari points past them and announces a school inspector is coming. The deputy principal panics at that and crawls away fast. The girls ask why he did something so reckless. Rentarō says he loves them both and can't stand seeing them fight. so he would rather wreck his first kiss than make them upset with each other. Hearing that, both girls tell him he can let the other one have the kiss. They don't want him to waste something that's special. That surprises him, and it proves to everyone that both girls really care about him. He hugs them tight, thinks for a second, and pitches a new idea. They could do a three-way kiss. He didn't bring it up earlier because he figured they'd shoot it down immediately, but now they're on the same page. They both blush at the thought of kissing each other too, then nod. The three of them finally share their very first kiss together. Next day, they're in the library. Hikari browses for a cookbook so she can make even more food for him. Inda grabs a different title, all about winning a man through his stomach, and the two scuffle over it. Rentarō reminds them they literally just shared a kiss, so maybe teamwork would be smart right now. That makes them go red and back off. Rentarō wanders to another shelf and runs into a quiet girl. The moment he's near her, that same soulmate jolt hits him. He wonders if she's one of the destined 100. She steps back. He notices she's the librarian. She doesn't speak. Instead, she opens a small book and points to printed phrases to communicate. At first he thinks this is just strict library etiquette, no talking aloud. She points to a line asking what he needs. He uses gestures to show he wants something fun to read. She points to a sentence asking why he isn't talking. He points to another asking why she isn't talking. She apologizes on the page and moves to call someone else, but he stops her and asks for her help specifically. He asks for romance recs with happy endings. She gets to work and stacks up an entire mountain of titles. He's stunned by the pile. She apologizes again and says he can pick just a few. He says he'll take every single one because she chose them with care. He heads to the counter and learns his library card still isn't active, so he can't borrow anything yet. The girl quietly offers her own personal book instead. He accepts, grateful, and then wonders what to call her. She flips open her ID. Her name is Shizuka. That night, Rentarō reads the book she lent him. It's about a princess and the knight who serves her. The knight pledges himself completely and even shields her from a dragon. Their feelings grow, but the princess is already promised to another prince. The knight rushes to her side, desperate for a way to rewrite their fate. Rentarō cheers for them page after page until the story cuts off at a cliffhanger. Next morning, Rentarō thanks Shizuka for lending him a book and realizes she's already brought volume 2. He lights up and takes it, then decides he should do something nice in return. He buys her a drink, and they chat outside about the story. Shizuka says it's her all-time favorite, and Rentarō is amazed at how she can flip to the perfect line to talk with him using the book. She's just relieved he doesn't treat her like a weirdo, and she quietly admits she's never really had a true friend. That hits him with an idea, so he asks if he can borrow the first volume again. The following day, Shizuka shows up with volume 3 for him, but he doesn't appear. He still doesn't show for a few days. While wandering the halls, she spots Rentarō with Hikari and Inda. They point out how tired he looks. He says his nights have been busy, yawns non-stop, and the girls wonder what he's been doing. Hikari suddenly plants a quick kiss on him, saying she's charging him up. He hugs her and calls her his angel. Inda says she's got plenty of energy to donate too, leans in for a kiss, and bonks his forehead instead. Shizuka puts the pieces together. He has a girlfriend, actually, girlfriends, and figures he must be too occupied to read. She thinks back to how other girls called her strange for the way she communicates, and how even her mom begged her to just speak normally, labeling her a freak. She convinces herself nobody's got time for someone like her. Then Rentarō rushes over, saying he can finally repay her for those books. He asks her to install an app on her phone and shows her a digital version of Volume 1. She knows there is no ebook release, so he explains he typed the entire thing by hand. He demonstrates how she can tap words and have the phone speak them aloud. He explains that when she used the physical book, she had to keep her eyes on the page, so they weren't really looking at each other. With the app, they can face each other while she talks. He hopes it'll make conversations easier. He asks her to try it. She taps a phrase, and it comes out, "I love you." She immediately backtracks, flustered, and tells him not to take it seriously. He answers, straight up, that he loves her too. Shizuka says fate probably won't let them be together. Rentarō says they'll steamroll fate anyway. He brings her to Hikari and Inda and asks to add Shizuka as his newest girlfriend. Inda calls him out of his mind. Hikari thanks him for still being with them even after finding someone else. Rentarō says his feelings for them haven't dropped even a little. He says they're like an oil field he treasures, and Shizuka is like discovering a brand new field somewhere else. Adding her doesn't drain the first one. In fact, he wants to spoil them more than before. He promises to prove it with actions and jokes that if he ever lets them down, he'll atone by self-isekai, even ordering a special knife from Amazon. Inda finally nods fine. Team Rentarō gains another member. Tally left. 97 destined girls to go. Later, Rentarō tells Hikari and Inda that when Shizuka reads, her toes wiggle like a puppy's tail, and it shows exactly how she feels. He also points out Hikari's habit of nibbling her fingers when she's thinking. He admits it makes his heart race, and how Inda twirls a strand of hair when she tries to brush off a compliment, which he finds ridiculously cute. They're shocked he noticed all that and realize he really pays attention. He starts describing how Hikari and Inda act when they're kissing, and Shizuka loses her cool for a second. Oh, they've already kissed him. Hikari asks if Shizuka wants a kiss too. Shizuka says she's saving her first kiss for marriage. Rentarō says that's totally fine and promises not to kiss her until she's ready. Inda and Hikari watch her, waiting to see if she changes her mind. She doesn't. At lunch, both girls try to feed Rentarō. Inda gets mad because Hikari keeps cutting in, so they tag team him and pack his mouth with food. Shizuka quietly eats, watching the chaos, and Rentarō realizes she's way too silent. She just needs time to feel comfortable around them. He thinks about how people often wear a mask at first because they're scared of how others will react to their real feelings. It's easier to open up when the other person already understands what's inside you. Once your true feelings are out, you don't have to be afraid of people's reactions anymore. He suggests a card game. Simple rule: whoever loses gets tickled by the winner. He figures laughing together will pull everyone's real emotions to the surface and help them bond fast. The girls picture Rentarō's hands on them and suddenly become very motivated to lose. Round 1, Rentarō wins, Inda loses and looks suspiciously pleased. He tickles her, she fights it, drops to the floor, and keeps giggling. He stops when he realizes she's enjoying it a little too much. Round 2, Rentarō wins again. Hikari loses. She cheers because it means he'll touch her. He tickles. She bursts into laughter, loving every second, then starts acting weird and begs him to stop. She's super ticklish, and truthfully, was about to have an accident. Round 3, Rentarō wins yet again, Shizuka loses. He's excited to finally hear her laugh. He tickles, but she stays silent and uses her device to play "I'm Laughing." He thinks she looks adorable and keeps at it. Inda and Hikari watch, realize he still hasn't lost a single hand, and decide they need to turn the tables so they can tickle him back. Round 4, Shizuka takes the win. Rentarō loses at last. She steps up, but instead of a full tickle attack, she lightly pokes him. He bursts out laughing anyway. Hikari whispers why Shizuka isn't using the chance to, really feel him. Then Hikari has a realization. Rentarō is clearly drawn to Shizuka's soft, timid style. Hikari, by contrast, always shows off what she thinks are her best points to get his eyes on her. She feels like a bit of a poser when she compares the two. Shizuka's effortless, natural charm is the total opposite. And suddenly, Hikari decides Shizuka might be an even bigger rival than Inda. After the game, Rentarō ducks into the restroom. While he's gone, Inda steps in front of Shizuka. She's noticed Shizuka hanging back from Rentarō on purpose. Shizuka says she's the newest one, so she'd rather not get in the way. Inda reminds her she's not an outsider, she's Rentarō's girlfriend, so there's no reason to hold herself back, and the overly polite distance is actually frustrating. Shizuka apologizes instantly, which only annoys Inda more. She asks why Shizuka won't push back even a little. Shizuka chooses honesty. Hikari has effortless magnetism. Inda has the swagger to match her looks. Shizuka feels plain next to them and is scared Rentarō will compare and find her lacking. The two start finding her endearing because she's so sincere, but Shizuka still believes she can't compete. Hikari reassures her that Rentarō notices what makes her special, and that she belongs with them as a real partner. From a distance, Rentarō watches and smiles. This is exactly what he hoped for. When Shizuka poked him earlier, he caught Inda shooting a sharp look, and he'd worried it might turn into a clash. He chose to let them air out their feelings. Now he's proud of how they handled it. He walks back over. Inda says Shizuka should tickle him again because she held back. Hikari eggs her on too. Shizuka realizes they're trying to boost her confidence and decides to honor that kindness. She steps up to Rentarō and says she wants to kiss him. They share a first kiss, and she goes bright red. Hikari asks for one right after, admitting she suddenly feels small next to Shizuka, like maybe she isn't enough. Rentarō says his love covers all of them. He kisses Hikari, and she beams. He turns to Inda and asks if she wants one too. She acts like she's fine without it, then quietly slides into place. He tells her she's adorable when she gets flustered. She thumps his chest a couple of times, then admits she does want a kiss. He gives her one as well. He thinks he's blessed beyond what he deserves. They say they feel the same about him. Next morning in class, Rentarō runs into a girl named Nano. He mentions that exam results are posted and asks if she's going to look. She says there's no point. She already secured the top rank. Their eyes meet, and that familiar electric jolt hits another destined one, he suspects. He checks the score sheet with his girlfriends. Everyone did solidly, but the number one line shocks him. Nano scored a perfect paper. He asked about her. The girls call her a total study machine. She can nail any question, and some students joke she might not even be human. In biology lab, Rentarō is paired with Nano. Compared with his girlfriends, her poise feels like a different world. He notices she's copying from the textbook and says practical work matters. She replies that experiments are redundant when the answers are already settled by science. He warns the instructor is watching. She picks up the microscope but keeps focusing on the book anyway, saying that's faster. She operates with the precision of a program. While Rentarō is slicing the specimen, he nicks his finger. He heads to rinse it and thinks about visiting the nurse. Nano takes his hand and puts the cut in her mouth. He panics. She explains that saliva has disinfecting properties, so no antiseptic is necessary. Rentarō feels like he's dreaming, and Inda simmers at the sight. After class, he thanks Nano. She says she only kept him there because she needed someone to help with cleanup. He tries asking her out. She declines immediately. In her view, outings create no measurable benefit and won't help future goals. He says joy is the point of being alive. She calls that a fantasy and says he's wasting her time. He starts doubting the soulmate signal. That evening, Nano sits in her room and thinks about Rentarō anyway. She can't figure out why she helped him, which leads her to admit she has feelings. She decides the emotion is noise and tries to reset by writing the exact digits of pi. She fills the board and stacks the desk with paper, and it still doesn't quiet her mind. She realizes she's throwing away hours, which she considers unacceptable. The next day, Nano walks up to Rentarō and tells him she's in love with him and wants him to be her boyfriend. He gladly says he wants to date her too, and then she rejects him on the spot. He thinks it's a prank. She clarifies. She wants to crush the feeling, because in her model, romance just funnels into marriage and pregnancy, so teen relationships have no purpose. She declares she will never date him. He answers that he loves her and won't quit. He asks her out again and begs for a chance to earn her heart. A few days later, they're at an amusement park. Rentarō is determined to show that love matters. Nano keeps logging complaints. She notes his instant camera stores nothing digitally, so it's a broken tool by design. He tells her to say cheese. She doesn't recognize the phrase, and he snaps the picture anyway. In the haunted house, she states ghosts aren't real. Performers jump out, and she stays calm, pointing out they're just people. She even says the place should be called a human house. On the spinning cups, she concludes the inventor must have been unwell, since people willingly queued to get dizzy, and guesses the ride's real use is brainwashing. In the hedge maze, they hit dead ends again and again, and she says the builders could have provided a straight route if they cared about customers, instead of creating trouble on purpose. They climb into the Ferris wheel. Nano admits she's scared of heights. Rentarō sits beside her and takes her hand. They scroll through the stack of prints, and she says she did have fun, but still labels the outing pointless. That's when he decides to burn the photos and delete the day. As he is about to light the match, she remembers the camera has no memory, and that these prints are the only record. She snatches them back. Rentarō points out she didn't want to lose them, because the time they spent gave her something real. Tears spill. He tells her that enjoying good moments is what gives life weight. She dabs her face with his handkerchief and says she'll sterilize it before returning it. He quietly wonders if she means with spit again, and she says she'll actually wash it. Nano says she wants him as her boyfriend because she wants more days that feel worthwhile. Rentarō tells her he loves her. She leans in and kisses him, then adds that she'll pursue what she wants without holding back from now on. Rentarō brings Nano to meet the others. Nobody objects, so he thanks them for accepting her and repeats his dramatic vow. If he ever treats any of them badly, he'll self-isekai as punishment. Nano, deadpan, says poison would work faster. They start planning a group outing. Hikari's jealous he went to a theme park without her, so she pitches a water park day perfect beach episode energy. Inda goes swimsuit shopping and freezes up at the racks. One suit catches her eye super cute, but she's convinced it won't suit her. Still, she thinks Rentarō might love it, so she buys it anyway. At the pool, Rentarō sees everyone in swimwear and practically ascends. He thinks he could die happy right there. Then Inda arrives wearing a strange dress, and he panics, assuming she forgot a suit. She says she's cold and plans to lounge by the water while they play. Nano points out a sunny spot. Inda thanks her and says there's no need to worry, but Nano replies she wasn't worried in the first place, which stings. Inda snaps and tells Nano to buzz off. They step into the whirlpool course. Shizuka spins around on a float, unable to steer and drifting like a leaf. Nano decides this entire pool is basically survival training and tries to swim upstream against the current, but Rentarō stops her. Hikari clings to him, squeaking that the stream is sweeping her away, pressing herself tight against him. Nano tries to close in, too, and Rentarō straight up faints. Nano notes he isn't breathing. Hikari immediately starts mouth-to-mouth and is definitely enjoying the rescue. Nano shoves in to take over, telling Hikari it isn't working, and Hikari gasps that he's about to die. Meanwhile, Shizuka keeps getting carried off. She tries to paddle out, can't control her direction, and calls for help. But the other swimmers ignore her. Her float pops. She scrambles out of the water and ends up stranded on the little island in the center of the whirlpool. Back with Rentarō, Nano suggests finding a lifeguard. They jog the perimeter, but a pack of guys starts hollering at them. Hikari ignores them. One idiot reaches for her, admiring her figure. Nano intercepts and two-finger jabs, his eyes fastest way to neutralize a creep, she says. His friends puff up to scare her. Nano says she'll go with them so Hikari can run and get a lifeguard for Rentarō. She knows he'll be devastated if Hikari gets hurt, so she tries to create an escape window. Hikari refuses and says Nano isn't going anywhere. Rentarō cares about Nano too. Another hand shoots toward Hikari, and Rentarō suddenly steps in wide awake, blocking the grab. He says both Nano and Hikari are his girlfriends. The guy barks that Rentarō shouldn't interfere since Nano blinded his buddy and tells him to leave with his girl. Rentarō repeats himself, they're both his. The guy laughs and says to prove it by kissing them both. Nano kisses Rentarō without flinching, and Hikari follows up with her own kiss. The group goes silent, realizes this dude is the real deal, and decides not to test him. Hikari asks how he bounced back from being out cold. Turns out Inda saw the chaos and was hurrying to help when she spotted Rentarō slumped. Assuming he was done for, she yelled at him not to die because Nano and Hikari needed him. He jolted awake and sprinted over. Rentarō says he made it thanks to Inda, then thanks Nano for guarding Hikari. Nano mutters that Hikari is more important, but Rentarō tells her not to risk herself like that. She realizes he's worried about her too. Then it hits him. Shizuka is still out there, and she can't swim. He panics and runs. Shizuka keeps calling for help. Nobody stops. Her phone battery is about to die. She hears Rentarō calling her name in waves, but he can't spot her. She considers the one thing she hates using her actual voice. She doesn't want the whole pool to hear her, but there's no other choice. She lets out a high, ringing scream. Rentarō pinpoints her instantly, rushes over, and says he's so glad she's safe. He lifts her and carries her away. She plants a kiss on him, and he blushes, reminding her they're still very much in public. They regroup with everyone else. Rentarō says he's going to take a breather, and asks Inda to come sit with him. While they're taking a breather, Rentarō notices Inda sneaking glances at Hikari and Nano. He figures she's comparing herself and feeling awkward in her suit, so he quietly tells her there's nothing wrong with how she or Shizuka look totally normal. Totally fine. Inda says Shizuka gets a pass because she's small and cute. Rentarō, trying to help, tugs off Inda's cover-up in one swift move, revealing the suit she picked. She yelps that he's a creep, but he's already starstruck, tells her she looks incredible, and hugs her. She feels his heartbeat pounding against her and goes soft when he says she has her own one-of-a-kind charm and literally can't be any more attractive than she already is. The words land. Inda smiles, slips into the water with the others, and the group spends the rest of the day messing around at the pool together. Back at school later, they walk by the chem lab, and Rentarō locks eyes with a girl inside. That lightning bolt feeling hits another destined match. The next day he returns to the lab, hoping to find her. A quirky student greets him first, introducing herself as Kusuri from the chemistry club. She hands him tea in a beaker. She mentions she just finished a new formula. Rentarō quickly says he isn't trying to join any clubs, he's searching for someone, but Kusuri tells him to sip the tea and hang tight. He takes a drink. She then unveils her fresh invention, a human magnet dose. If he takes it, his body will pull metal toward him. Before he can protest, she tips it into his mouth. A second later, he starts attracting anything metallic and can't believe it's actually working. She calmly adds the downside. For 3 days, his stomach will be stubborn. To test polarity, she swallows a companion formula that flips her charge. Instantly, her body is drawn to his like opposite ends of a magnet. The pull is too strong. She can't step back, but she stays composed, noting the effect will fade in 10 minutes. She quietly says she needs a bathroom break. When Rentarō panics, she says it's handled, she's wearing protection, and, well, handles it. The magnetism finally wears off. Kusuri says her goal is to keep pushing new compounds and that she's already cooked up a whole cabinet full. Rentarō realizes he's catching feelings, and she casually reveals she slipped him a love mixture when he arrived. She herself fell for him at first sight. He forces himself to throw up, trying to purge the influence. She blinks, confused the potion didn't take, and tears gather as she asks if he just doesn't like her at all. He tells her he doesn't want chemicals deciding his answer. If he accepts someone, it has to be real. He starts shaking his body as rejecting the brew, so she rushes in with a neutralizer and delivers it mouth to mouth. He steadies. The drug's effect is gone. He says he still likes her without any potion talking. She goes bright red, begs him to date her, and says she'll do anything. Right then, her hair spills longer and her body shifts. This is the person he saw through the lab window. She explains she also got a dose of the neutralizer while helping him, which let her switch forms. The reason she sometimes looks like a kid, she says, is a side effect from a failed live forever experiment. She can hold this older form for about an hour before it flips back. She's actually the chemistry club president, but the younger form has worse eyesight and super long hair. So working as kid mode is simply easier at the bench. Rentarō is stunned that she's one of his destined partners and agrees to go out with her. He introduces Kusuri to the group. No one objects, though when Kusuri cheerfully says she loves drugs, Inda gives a nervous side-eye. Rentarō clarifies that Kusuri is older than they are, and only looks small because of the side effect. Inda half whispers that this sounds like, well, a drug problem. Kusuri, eager to help, says she's got a tonic that could boost Inda's figure. Inda bristles. Kusuri hurriedly offers other tonics to improve anything, which only upsets Inda more. She asks why Kusuri would bring that up, and Kusuri, too honest for her own good, blurts that Rentarō mentioned Inda's hang-ups. Inda puts Rentarō in a gentle chokehold for that, until Kusuri quickly explains how deeply he adores Inda. Inda lets go and apologizes. Kusuri hands Hakari a hotness vial, promising it'll make her more attractive. Hakari assumes it will, emphasize certain assets and downs it. A wave of heat hits. She starts sweating buckets, and her outfit literally dissolves at the seams. Kusuri, deadpan, says the formula cranks body heat so high that fabric can't handle it. Rentarō immediately tosses Hakari his spare clothes. She buries her face in the shirt, recognizing his scent, then worries the replacement might melt too. Kusuri says not to worry, the effect triggers once and is done. For Shizuka, Kusuri offers a fantasy draft. Shizuka sips and sprouts soft rabbit ears. Rentarō can't help smiling and gently pets them. Shizuka glows. For Nano, Kusuri presents a hair control solution. After a dose, Nano can manipulate her hair like extra hands. She uses it to pull Rentarō close and kisses him, noting that the upgrade improves her productivity. Kusuri adds that the boost wears off in 10 minutes, and more doses extend the time but raise the risk of hair loss. Nano calls that an acceptable trade if it raises efficiency, then asks Rentarō if he'd still care for her with a shaved head. He answers he'd love her even if she came from another planet, but admits he's a fan of her current look. Nano decides to skip repeat doses. Kusuri talks about her big goal: she wants to join a top research team and crank out even crazier breakthroughs. Mid-sentence, she stiffens and says she has to pee. She casually mentions she could just use her diapers, and Rentarō immediately tells her to please go to the actual bathroom. They're about to have tea together, and Kusuri warns everyone to be careful because the girl's tea is not the same as Rentarō's. She tries to explain the difference but can't finish her sentence. The bathroom is calling, so she dashes off. While she's gone, they spot two containers on the table. There's a big one and a tiny one. They guess the small cup must be Rentarō's, and the big pot is for the girls. They start eating and pouring tea. Kusuri rushes back and sees what's happening, yells for them to spit it out, and blurts that the large pot was dosed with a formula meant for Rentarō, specifically a make him kiss me blend. Rentarō tells her she didn't need to drug him. He'll kiss her without any chemical help. She lights up and leans in for a smooch, then Inda grabs Kusuri by the shoulders and yeets her aside. Rentarō realizes the others suddenly want his lips too. In the next heartbeat, Hikari, Inda, Shizuka, and Nano start moving like they're under a spell-blank focus, one-track eyes. Kusuri goes pale and says she messed up. Some of that tea already went down, and the side effect is hitting them. She explains this compound is unsafe for girls because, as she puts it, women already have a strong built-in urge to kiss guys they like. The drug removes the brakes and cranks the desire to max. Their minds narrow to a single thought: kiss Rentarō, and the overdose even gives them burst strength. She calls them kiss zombies and warns him that if they catch him, they'll just keep kissing him forever. Rentarō, for a split second, looks like he doesn't hate that idea. Kusuri cuts him off. If the drug fully spreads through their systems, it'll erase their personalities. They've got about 1 hour to get the antidote in before that happens. They sprint for the chemistry lab to grab a cure, but the zombies anticipate them and clog the walkways. Kusuri digs through her bag for anything useful and pulls out a vial that can melt a face right off. Rentarō freaks and tells her absolutely not, they'll go around. They turn a corner and the vice principal appears, blocking the hall. Kusuri panics and impulsively flicks a droplet of the face melter at her. It sizzles on contact and does nothing. The vice principal's heavy makeup acts like armor. Eyes wide, she mutters that her true form is about to be exposed if the foundation slides off, and she drops to the floor and crawls away so no one sees her bare face. The girls stop chasing in a straight line and get clever. They split up into different lanes to box Rentarō in from multiple directions. He realizes he's the target they're tracking. He tells Kusuri to slip to the lab alone while he plays bait. As he leads the pack away, Shizuka dashes after him, trips and smacks her head. He can't ignore that. He scoops her up, rushes to the infirmary, cleans the cut, and then remembers she's still under the drug. She flips him onto the bed and kisses him over and over. He knows he messed up by stopping. He forces himself to break free and pins her gently, promising he'll come back with the fix and set everything right. He bolts again. Inda hurls Hikari like a missile. While he's catching his breath, he notices something. Even in zombie mode, they're arguing with each other in between smooches. That means their core selves aren't gone yet. He nudges them toward each other. If you want to fight, then kiss each other. They lock lips, completely absorbed in a lover's quarrel that's also a makeout session. Rentarō is genuinely relieved to see their fiery, bickering bond is still in there, but he doesn't have time to watch. He sprints for the lab. He bursts in, and Nano is already inside. He dives into a locker to hide and nearly screams, because Kusuri is curled up in the same locker. She whispers that Nano spotted her before she could reach the cabinets, so she ducked in there, and now they're both stuck. Since Nano's the smartest person on campus, she's almost certainly pieced together they're hunting a counter-drug. Kusuri whispers a plan. Rentarō should distract Nano so Kusuri can slip to the shelf and grab the cure. He says that'll look obvious. Nano will read it instantly. Kusuri's face falls. She blames herself, her experiments always cause chaos. That's why the chemistry club is just her. She says she'll stop making new compounds altogether. Then she fumbles in her pocket and realizes she still has a single dose of the antidote. Rentarō points out they should use it on Nano first, since she's guarding the lab. Kusuri, panicking, brings the vial to her mouth on reflex. He yelps and bumps her hand. The dose splashes onto the floor. He says again they needed it for Nano, and she nods he's right. She did get a sip in the scramble though, and her body shifts back to her older form. She says she'll stroll in unrecognized and restrain Nano before her window closes. She barely steps out before Nano's eyes narrow. She sees through it immediately and ties Kusuri up with clinical efficiency. Rentarō's brain races. He spots the spilled antidote on the tile and hatches a new plan. He explodes out of the locker and tears down the hallway with Nano chasing full tilt. He dives into his side room. Nano kicks the door clean off its hinges. He shrieks. There's nowhere else to run. She reaches him, pins him, and starts kissing him again and again. He sags and thinks, well, this is it. Right then, Kusuri appears behind Nano and jabs her with a different sedative. Nano slumps. Kusuri explains the sleep agent will wear off, and when she wakes, she'll be herself again. Rentarō realizes what just happened. He dragged Nano far enough away because he knew Kusuri's body was about to shrink back to kid form. Once small again, she slipped out of the ropes and escaped. With Nano knocked out, Kusuri gets to the cabinet, preps fresh antidotes, and they hustle to fix the rest of the group. They administer cures and move everyone to the infirmary. One by one, his girlfriends blink awake, foggy and confused. What even happened? Akari says. She blushes and admits she remembers kissing Inda, then immediately claims her memory went blank after that. Inda clearly remembers too, but plays amnesia like a pro. Rentarō can see right through their act, but he's honestly happy they can joke about it together instead of fighting. Kusuri bows her head and apologizes for the entire disaster. Rentarō reminds her she also saved them, twice, and says he'll help carry the fallout from her experiments, not run from it. He tells her not to quit the thing that lights her up. He loves her because she cares so intensely about her work, and he wants her to keep chasing that dream. This time with everyone watching her back. Everyone heads to a huge flower park, and an announcer blasts news about a Catch the Bouquet challenge. Akari immediately wants in because the winning pair gets a special photo session dressed like bride and groom. She's dreamed about a wedding dress forever, so she feels like this is her big chance. A big crowd forms, including the rough guerrilla gang, whose boss orders her crew to secure the win for her. Akari figures bulldozing through that squad will be tough, so she suggests they all cooperate and then draw lots afterward to decide who does the couple shoot. Rentarō quietly suggests Shizuka sit the scramble out so she doesn't get swallowed by the stampede. Kusuri volunteers on the spot and downs a formula to switch back to her taller form. Spotting the gang's banner, Rentarō whips up a flag for their side too, and dubs them the Rentarō family. The announcer states that hitting and other direct attacks are banned. Then he introduces a special guest, the vice principal. She coolly says she wants the bouquet to exit the stratosphere because she refuses to watch anyone be happy. She hurls the bouquet with absurd power. Everyone sprints after it, but Rentarō notices it's still rising and won't drop for a while. The guerrilla gang starts training on nearby players' body checks, throws and takedowns while insisting they're not breaking rules because it's just practice. The announcer buys that excuse. Their leader even grabs her own teammates and tosses them like bowling balls to clear a path. One projectile is headed straight for Hakari until Inda steps in, blocks it, and calls out the boss to join their training. She grapples the leader to keep her busy so the others can focus on the bouquet. The flowers finally begin to fall. The gang waves their flags and whips up a wicked gust, steering the bouquet toward them. Victory looks locked until Shizuka suddenly appears high in the air. She'd been standing right beside the flag squad, so the wind vortex launched her upward. She snatches the bouquet, then plummets. The girls rush to catch her, but Rentarō realizes the crash will hurt them. Shizuka bounces off their chests, which softens the blow, and Rentarō dives and secures her before she hits the ground. The Rentarō family wins. They move to draw lots for who gets the couple photo. Hakari has a scheme. She put a tiny notch on the winning stick. She doesn't want to grab first and look suspicious, so she plans to wait and manipulate the turn order. She predicts Nano will be simple to bait. Nano loves efficiency and will take whichever stick is closest, so Hikari puts the marked stick at the far edge and tells Nano to choose. Nano immediately says it's more efficient if everyone draws at once. Hikari's plan collapses, and she realizes she underestimated Nano. Even so, after the simultaneous draw, Hikari ends up with the marked piece anyway and nearly explodes with joy. She notices Kusuri tearing up because Kusuri really wanted to be in the photo. Hikari offers her spot. Kusuri thanks her and then changes her mind, saying she wants two of her favorite people to be in the shot together. Hikari switches it up again and tells everyone to pile in. They take a big group picture. Hikari thanks Rentarō for making her dream come true, then tells him to break up with her, giving no reason. Later, he's confused and wants to talk, but she's already gone. He calls, no answer. He decides to go to her place using the address on an envelope she sent earlier. Her home turns out to be a mansion. He calls up to her window, and she hushly tells him to be quiet. A guard starts checking for the noise, so Rentarō hides. An unknown number pops up Hikari. She says she doesn't love him anymore. He recognizes the lie and says he won't leave without the truth. She explains her mother, Hana, is against them because he has too many girlfriends. Her phone was confiscated, and she's being shipped out of town. Hana will use money and influence to make it happen, so Hikari believes they can never be together. Hana appears, snatches the phone, orders him to stay away, and threatens to remove him from the picture. A guard pins him, calls him Hikari's ex, and tells him to quit because he'll never reach her. Rentarō walks off feeling ordinary and unworthy until he spots a four-leaf clover. Memories of Hikari rush back, and his resolve hardens. That evening, he lays it out for the girls. He wants to sneak into the estate and bring Hikari out. They think a direct rescue won't work because Hana's money and power make escape nearly impossible. He admits the odds are awful but says making Hikari happy is worth any risk. He suggests they wait for him to return. They refuse and insist on coming because they love him, and they love Hikari too. He tries to argue them down, sees their faces, and understands they're all in. They reach the mansion grounds. Rentarō's plan is simple. Lob a ball at Hikari's window to get her attention. He throws, misses, and the ball vanishes into the gardens. Inda spots a cat batting it around. They chase it, but the cat darts toward Nano. Nano evaluates the situation and decides the most efficient solution is to disable the target with a kick. Rentarō scoops the cat up just in time. Footsteps approach. They duck behind a tree. The cat pads over to the guard, who assumes the noise came from the animal. The ball is gone for good. So they move to plan B. Reach Hikari's room. There's a pet door at an auxiliary entrance. Nano collects a handful of pebbles from the garden and studies the small doorframe. From the hardware and shape, she calculates where the internal lock sits. She flicks the rocks one by one with pinpoint precision, tripping the mechanism, and the panel pops open. She waves everyone through. Rentarō notices Nano's thumb is scraped and asks what happened. Inda disinfects and bandages it while Nano explains she had to use that thumb angle to tighten her aim. She adds that she owes Hikari for saving her from those creeps at the water park, so she's going to push herself as far as it takes. They slip inside the estate and immediately spot a hulking guard dog padding toward them. Everyone freezes, then instinctively starts backing out until they realize Shizuka isn't with the group. She's still in the hall, tiny and trembling. She whispers that they should just go on without her. She's done for anyway. The dog trots up, and instead of barking or biting, it happily licks her cheek. Nano calmly explains that dogs have a built-in urge to protect fragile creatures, and Shizuka is so delicate that the poor thing basically forgot it's supposed to guard the mansion. Rentarō worries the dog will chase them once they move deeper inside. Nano, ever practical, suggests giving Shizuka one clear instruction: jab it in the eyes if it charges. Kusuri produces a vial and says there's a simpler option. This drip will put an animal to sleep. She hands it to Shizuka and forgets to say how to use it. Shizuka, assuming it's for her, drinks it herself and topples over, snoring on the spot. The dog, licking her again, ends up lapping the spilled liquid and gets woozy too. They creep down a long corridor. The cat from the garden slips in behind them, brushes a sensor, and a shrill alarm blares. Guards hurry over. The team melts into the shadows, and the staff scoops up the cat, deciding it must have triggered the system. Nano studies the hallway and says there's no way they'll cross without tripping more beams unless they've got infrared gear. Kusuri raises a hand. She brought infrared vision, eye drops. Rentarō volunteers. She warns that, under the effect, his view will be almost nothing but glowing sensor lines. As he blinks them in, Inda notices an envelope fall from Kusuri's pocket. Nano glances at it and reads the address in Overseas Research Lab. Kusuri was planning to include those drops with her application. Kusuri shakes her head. Hikari comes first. Rentarō's pupils shift, and the world turns into a web of laser threads. He whispers that there are beams everywhere. If anyone steps wrong, they'll light the place up again. He spots a thin, dead zone brushing the ceiling, but the hall is far too wide for one person to climb and traverse safely. Nano says they can make a human ladder. She points out that the rest of them are girls, so matching Rentaro's strength for a long overhead crawl is tough, then immediately corrects herself. Inda's the exception. She knots a rope around Rentarō and Inda's waists and tells them to synchronize slow, steady, sane rhythm. They push up off the walls and shimmy along that narrow gap. Rentarō warns that Inda's outfit is getting slick with sweat. His forehead ends up pressed against her midriff, and Inda gasps at the weird, fluttery sensation that runs through her. Breath by breath, they inch forward, tap the final molding, and drop to safety on the far side. Rentarō signals the others to hold position while he and Inda scout. They reach Hikari's door, crack it open, and an alarm howls again. He winces. Of course, the door had its own trigger. Guards pour in and march everyone to Hana. She coolly says she won't dispose of them. They're Hikari's friends after all. Rentarō says he'll make Hikari happy for the rest of her life. Hana doesn't buy it. She explains, very quietly, that she was 13 when she carried Hikari. The man she loved was dying. Before he passed, she chose artificial insemination so she could at least have his child. She knows it was reckless that streak lives in their blood, and she's terrified Hikari will throw herself at love just as hard. After he died, Hana raised Hikari alone. She's grateful for her daughter, but that man can never be replaced, and the ache never faded. She will not let Hikari suffer that kind of grief, so she wants Rentarō far away. Rentarō breaks down. He can't stand the thought of Hikari feeling that pain. Right then, the eye drop effect wears off, and his vision returns. He looks straight at Hana. A shock runs through both of them, the same electric tug he's felt before. He realizes, stunned, that Hana is also one of his destined matches. Hana, half dazed, blurts out an invitation to date. Inda catches Rentarō's face and reminds him this is Hikari's mother. Hana regains her composure, says she was joking, and declares that she still won't permit his relationship with Hikari. She wheels in a lie detector and says it'll expose how unfaithful he really is. Rentarō distrusts a gadget deciding hearts, so Hana proposes a demo. She turns to Inda. Cup size. Inda proudly claims she's almost a C. The machine chirps. Lie. She downgrades to B. Fine. Another buzz. Lie. Face burning, she mutters. Okay. A. The device finally pings true. Hana asks if Inda loves Rentarō. The lights flash red. False. Rentarō's soul leaves his body. Inda stammers that the machine is broken. She adores him. More lie beeps. He looks crushed. She steels herself, looks him in the eyes, and says she loves him more than anything in the world. The sensor glows green. He re-inflates like a balloon. To be sure, he says out loud that he loves Inda. The device confirms it. Hana turns the questions on him. What about Hikari? Rentarō answers that he will make Hikari happy, and he put his life on the line for her. Green, again. Hana stares. 5 girlfriends, and the meter still reads faithful? She refuses to accept it. A maid bursts in to report that Hikari is on the roof and about to jump. Inda slides behind Hana and locks her arms, threatening her without a blink. Rentarō panics and tells Inda to stop. Inda says to go save Hikari. Come back for me. Hana struggles, but Inda holds firm for Hikari's sake. On the rooftop, Hikari inches toward the ledge. Rentarō arrives, breathless, and begs her to run away with him. She shakes her head through tears. Even if they flee, they'll be hunted, and he'll get hurt because of her. She says she won't be the reason he's miserable. He tells her he'll never be happy if she's gone. That life without her isn't life at all. He says he loves her. She whispers that she loves him too, and her foot slips. She falls. Rentarō dives, grabs her wrist, and slams into the railing. It's a terrible angle. She tells him to let go. He refuses and launches off the wall, twisting his body, planting a heel into the building to change their trajectory. They crash into the courtyard fountain in an explosion of water. The others sprint over. Shizuka flails and starts to sink. Kusuri yanks her up by the collar and scolds her for trying to drown in a knee-high pool. Hana rushes out, sees them alive, and exhales. She just watched him throw himself into danger to save Hikari, and the conclusion writes itself. For all his ridiculousness, he keeps his promises. She tells him to take care of her daughter. Rentarō realizes Hana has been burning her own life down to shield Hikari, and thinks, honestly, she's a good person. He swears he'll make Hikari happy, then adds that he wants Hana to find happiness too. And because fate is what it is, he says yes to dating her. The girls collectively squeal in shock. Hana covers her face, half laughing, half mortified, and says she can't help it, he is irresistibly charming to her, and that's that. Back at the mansion, the girls pile into a big bath and like always, it turns into playful bragging. They compare chests for a minute until Inda quietly bows out. She knows she can't compete on that front and retreats before her pride takes more hits. On her way back, she spots Rentarō in their room. He points out that her pajama top has ridden up and her tummy's peeking out. That makes her instantly remember the corridor crawl from earlier. His forehead was pressed against her stomach the whole time. She accuses him of doing that on purpose. He shakes his head and says he was just keeping her from slipping through the laser maze. She tells him she was mortified, and now it's her turn for payback. She lowers her head onto his stomach and cuddles in, smug and satisfied, until Kusuri suddenly walks in. Both of them panic and, in perfect panic sync, start doing fake push-ups like that was totally the plan. Hana announces a pajama party and tells everyone to get dressed up. Hakari whispers that her mom loves styling people like dolls. A minute later, Rentarō sees the squad in coordinated sleepwear and almost forgets how to breathe. They look incredible. Kusuri and Shizuka each plant a quick kiss on his cheek, and he feels like he's floating. Hana's nose starts gushing, so Rentarō rushes to help her and offers his arm as they walk the halls. She says she's too old to be getting this flustered. He tells her fun doesn't expire. She smiles, says she can't hold back anymore, and invites him to her room. Time stretches. Inda checks the clock and mutters that Rentarō and Hana are taking forever. Hakari's stomach tightens. She's convinced something suspicious is happening. A sharp scream rings out. Everyone sprints to Hana's room, ready to kick the door in and stop dead. Rentarō is standing there in frilly clothes and a wig, fully dressed as a girl, and Hana is shrieking because he's way too cute. Rentarō turns beet red, sways like a fainting princess, and collapses. The girls freak out. Hana snaps into command mode and tells Nano to help. In seconds, Nano appears in a tailored prince outfit. Hakari announces that only a prince's kiss can wake Princess Rentarō. Nano kisses him once on the lips, and he blinks awake. The girls clap and giggle. Rentarō groans that he's had enough excitement for one night and is going to take a bath. The girls immediately decide to accidentally pass by the bathroom to catch a glimpse of him. Shizuka tries to stop them, but they gently pin her with blankets and tell her to wait. They'll be right back. Rentarō sinks into the tub. Outside, Kusuri tries to watch through the frosted window, but the condensation is too thick, so she presses her forehead against the glass. The thump makes Rentarō look up. A pale oval slowly squishes against the window. His heart stops. He thinks a ghost is staring at him. Kusuri backs away and tells the others the peeping plan failed. They drag her up, and Rentarō, realizing no one's there anymore, showers and fast forward. Hana reroutes the mission. She says there's an attic passage that leads to the bathroom. The moment the girls crawl into the dusty crawl space, they hear skittering, squeal about a mouse, and scramble. Rentarō hears the racket above the ceiling and decides the ghost came back with friends. Shizuka, still worried that this is spiraling, wriggles to free herself and realizes she can roll. She rolls right off the bed, down the hallway, and gains enough momentum to shake loose her wraps on the stairs. She keeps rolling until she tumbles through the bathroom door. Rentarō sees a blurry figure and yelps again, ghost for sure, then blinks and realizes it's Shizuka. He starts to ask what she's doing here, but his towel slips. Shizuka goes bright red and faints like a light switch. He's about to yell for help when the attic door cracks open and the rest of the girls peek in like raccoons. He asks what they're doing. They claim they were just playing hide and seek. Inda says they definitely were not trying to peek at him in the bath, which absolutely gives away their plan. He scolds them and shepherds everyone out. That night, Rentarō finds Hana at a small shrine corner, hands together, praying for Hakari's father. He stands beside her and quietly asks why she never dated anyone after he passed. Hana says her heart never stopped loving that man, and because of that, she felt she didn't have the right to love someone else. Then she looks at Rentarō and admits she's fallen for him anyway, even if part of her says it's wrong. He tells her it's possible to care for more than one person as long as every feeling is honest. She nods through tears and asks him to kiss her. She remembers Hakari's father telling her to save her first kiss for the man who will never leave her. Rentarō leans in and kisses her gently. She cries, hugging both old memories and the new future at once. Later, everyone camps out in the same room. Hakari tiptoes to Rentarō's futon, while Inda watches from the dark, suspicious. Rentarō opens his eyes, and Hakari whispers that she just wants to be next to him. She was terrified she'd never get this chance again. He kisses her on the forehead and promises things will be okay. She beams and asks him to hold her until sunrise. Hours pass. Rentarō wakes again and oh no, sees Hakari kissing Inda, who's half asleep, and thinks Hakari is him. He slips out to the bathroom to give them space. In the quiet hall, he meets a pale figure, the spirit of Hakari's father, who looks upset that Rentarō now has both Hana and Hakari's hearts. Rentarō says this is a good time to talk. The spirit asks why Rentarō isn't scared. Rentarō answers that Hana loves her late partner deeply and always will, and that love is part of what makes her amazing. He promises to take care of both Hana and Hakari. The spirit says he's been watching for 16 years and thanks Rentarō for opening Hana's heart again. If Rentarō stays by their side, he can finally rest. Rentarō thanks him in return for bringing Hakari into the world. A warm light fills the hall, and the spirit says his regrets are gone. He fades, peaceful at last. Next morning at school assembly, Jaws drop. Hana has been installed as the new chairperson. which means she'll be on campus every day and can keep an eye on Rentarō in person. At lunch, Rentarō heads to her mansion out of habit, then realizes she's not there. He rushes to the rooftop and finds Hana already with the others, all of them waiting for him. They tell him they love him, one by one. He steps into the circle, promises to make every single one of them happy. And that's where this video ends. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Also watch this following video until the new one.